was recently in the market for a portable white noise machine, or specifically one that doesn't have to be plugged in and has a rechargeable battery. Now, as I was on this quest, I searched high and low in reviews for how loud these little machines get or how long they last, and I was not able to find any answers. So I actually ended up needing to buy 3 different versions, and I figured while I have all 3 here and I have recently tested them out, I would make this video in case any of you parents need something similar in the future, and you can use this information to figure out which one would be best for you. So let's go ahead and get into the video. The first thing that I do want to talk about though is I definitely have a bias when it comes to white noise machines. This guy right here is called a Lectrofan, and I have been in love with this white noise machine for probably 7-8 years now. I can't remember exactly when I got it, but it changed my life in a lot of really great ways. And I spent a lot of time before I purchased this white noise machine online, reading reviews, figuring out which one would be the best. And this one had hilarious reviews. First of all, people were talking about family members who snored like freight trains, and once they bought this, they couldn't hear them anymore. And other people were talking about how they had roommates that played video games late at night, and once they bought this, they were able to sleep through everything. So I was convinced that this was a really great machine, and I loved it so much for my daughter that I ended up buying one for my husband and I in our room. And when we had more kids and they were in 2 different rooms, we also got another one just like this for the other child. So I'm a big fan of the Lectrofan, and the reason that I have not looked for a portable or battery powered white noise machine before is because I love this one so much that even though it's not super light, if there was an outlet, I was taking this baby along with me. Even if we were just taking carry-ons like we often do when we travel, we will find a place for a Lectrofan or 2 and just stick it into our carry-on and take it along with us. The only reason that I decided to go for a battery-powered white noise machine, oh, and I do also want to say, sometimes I refer to a white noise machine as a Lectrofan because we call this our Lectrofan. We'll say, did you get the Lectrofans? So sometimes I use them interchangeably. If I do that at all in this video, I'm sorry. Usually I will mean white noise machine if I'm saying Lectrofan, but there is a little bit of carryover with that. I'll try to distinguish and make sure I say white noise machine when I'm not talking about a Lectrofan brand. But the reason that I needed a portable white noise machine or one that was battery operated is I was going to take the kids camping for about 5 nights. It was a Tuesday through Sunday, all by myself. And I was taking them to a church camp, so it's not like we were just camping out in the woods. Typically, if we camp in the woods or are backpacking, we just don't take a white noise machine, and the kids do just fine because it's really quiet. But I knew that this was not going to be a quiet camping experience. It's a big church event. There are a lot of people camping there. There are a lot of activities all through the day if anyone needed to nap. And I wanted to have something that could act as a bit of a noise buffer. Now, I know there's a bit of a controversy about white noise machines, but I absolutely am in love with them. I used it to sleep train all 3 of my kids, and people always say, well, if you use a white noise machine, they won't sleep when they don't have it. But that's never really been a problem for me because, like I said, if we can take that one with us, it's really easy to just fit in a suitcase. And if we can't, like if we're camping, yeah, they may get up a little bit earlier, but typically they don't get a ton of extra sleep when we're camping anyway. They go to bed late, they get up a little early, naps get skipped, and it's just part of camping. So I would personally rather my kids sleep really well, 90 to 95% of the time when we're at home, and maybe struggle a tiny bit if they don't have their white noise machine, but typically they do even if we're traveling. So it hasn't been an issue for us, and I'm a big fan of it. If especially you want your kids to sleep a long time at night and you would like to sleep train them, I do recommend getting that Lectrofan there, and I will link that in the description down below. So how this all started out is I was looking at all of the different reviews, and my husband said, listen, the camp meeting is only a week or so away. You need to make a decision. Why don't you just go with the one your mom and sister have? So I picked up the Lectrofan, and yes, this is a Lectrofan brand. This is the Alpha white noise machine, and it is made for travel. It has a little clip here that you can clip on things if you want, and it's made to be on the go. Now, each of these devices comes with a cord, and that cord has a USB on one end, and I should have asked my husband what this part is called, but I don't remember. It goes in to the actual device, plugged in there, and then you can plug this into a charger like you would if you have a phone charger where the USB comes out. So it would be really easy to just take a phone charger and then this, and you could use the chargers interchangeably. Now, I had used this once before at my mom's house. I needed an extra Lectrofan, and she had her portable one, so we just plugged it in because it wasn't charged, and it worked just fine. It worked fine all night. We didn't have any issues with it, so we thought, okay, we're just gonna get this one. It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't have to be amazing. It's mainly for this one time a year that we're going to use it, and the rest of the time we'll use our OG Lectrofan. But almost as soon as I got it, I was a little bit disappointed that I had done that because it just seems a little cheaper made than the original. The original one just feels like it is well made, and this one, I think because they were going for lightweight, feels very plasticky and also has that look. For example, this part right here, it's very plasticky. It would have been really nice if they had made this silicone or something like that, because I feel like if you use this over time, clipping it, I know in the videos showing you how to use this, you could clip it onto a strap if you were carrying the baby, or you could clip it on a backpack. And I feel like if you are pulling it back and forth a whole bunch, it is not going to last very long. It would have been really easy for them to use a silicone one or some other mechanism versus making it look kind of like it's tied, trying to make it kind of cute, but yet it only comes apart right there. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I'll show up closer and put that in the video. Now, one nice thing I did like about this is it has a little stand on the back, so you can actually stand it up if you want to. But I thought it was a little funny that they put this feature in, because one of the main reasons that I had purchased the original Lectrofan is in doing a lot of reading about white noise machines. It is best if the surface is flat and can bounce off of the ceiling and kind of coat the room, is the term they used. I think it was a little while ago. So I found it kind of funny that also a Lectrofan brand had went through the trouble of adding this extra piece so that it can stand up. I get it, it can be nice if you have a baby and you want to point the sound towards the baby, but I've had such good success with this one that I found this feature kind of interesting, not really necessary, and I don't think I would personally ever use this feature. So when I first got it, I charged it all up, and I was actually headed out for a weekend getaway with me and the kids at my grandparents' house, and I thought, this is perfect. I'm just going to take one of these to put in the room with the girls and I, and I'm just going to take this to put in with the baby, and we'll see how it works, and this will be a perfect experiment before the camping. Well, I am very thankful that the girls really wanted to use the new one, and they wanted their brother to use the old one, because less than 10 hours, actually it was right around 10 hours after I put the kids to bed at 5 a.m., it started to make what can only be described as a ka-tunk, ka-tunk, ka-tunk sound over and over again until I frantically, half asleep, turned it off to make it stop making that noise. And I was really glad it was with the girls and I, because they're old enough at this point, if something does wake them up, they go back to sleep. If that had been in the baby's room, none of us would have been sleeping after that. So I charged it again. I thought, well, maybe it was just not fully charged or something like that. I'm not sure. And I did it again the second night. And almost the exact same time later, about 10 hours after it started, it made a ka-tunk, ka-tunk, ka-tunk sound like it was malfunctioning. Turned it off real quick, turned white noise on my phone, and that was that. I ended up using it for the rest of the time just plugged in, and it worked just fine. But like I said, the whole point of this experiment for me was finding one that I didn't have to have plugged in because I was going to be camping. So this one was out almost immediately, and I started to look for another option. Now, before I move on to the other options, I do just want to make sure I got all the pros and cons of this one. Okay, so the other thing I'd forgotten to mention is it was easy to use. There wasn't anything complicated. I didn't have to figure it out. It was pretty intuitive. So if you don't need it to last super long, or if having it plugged in works well for you and you just want something a little lighter and a little bit less bulky than the bigger white noise machine, this could work well for you. But I needed something that didn't have to be plugged in. And I was curious, my daughter has her soap scale down here. I am going to weigh them because I am curious how much each one of them weighs. For me, I definitely, if there's a plug-in option, I'm going to take this one. I just love it. It works so well. It gets super loud, which is amazing. And for me, it's kind of the point of having a white noise machine. It's to drown out other noises so they won't wake up a sleeping baby or a sleeping child or sleeping me. So this one definitely gets louder than any of these three. And I don't know if that is because it is a little bit larger, a little bit heavier, or why that is. I wish that they could make all of these the same amount of loudness, but that is what I experienced for all of these. So the big one here is 13 ounces. And I guess I should count this whole thing because you have to take the whole thing with you. So 15 ounces. 15 ounces altogether, not even a pound. To me, totally worth it to put in a suitcase if you have the plug-in option. So the Lectrofan Alpha is 4.55 ounces, so considerably lighter. I'm going to write that here in my notes just so I can compare. And with the cord on that one, it is does not want to stay on the scale. Stay on the scale. 5.25 ounces. So a bit smaller for sure. And if weight is an issue for you, this may be a good way to go. But after that first night, I immediately started reading more reviews, seeing if I could find a clear winner for what the best portable white noise machine would be, and I couldn't find a clear winner. So I purchased also the Dreamegg, which comes with this cord here, and the Lectrofan Micro. So I'm going to talk through all of them, and then at the end I will turn them on and you can hear the sounds, and maybe you'll be able to hear the difference in volume. I'm actually really curious for when I put this in the editor, I'll be able to actually see which one makes the largest sound waves, because it's a little bit hard to tell just with my ears. So that was the Alpha, and I'll turn that one on in just a little bit. But the next one that I tried was the Lectrofan Micro 2, and this one I had actually had my eye on for quite a while. When I originally bought the larger Lectrofan, I thought, this is great, maybe I should get this one also, but I didn't really have a need for it because I always just took that one, or we were camping and didn't really need one. So I decided to give this one a try, and I purchased it, we charged it up, and then I thought, I'm not letting what happened at my grandma's house happen again. I'm not going to be woken up at 5 a.m. by an obnoxious sound or by this thing turning off, and I want to know how long it's actually going to last. So I turned it on and I kept it with me all night and all day and through most of the next night. And it lasted for 30 hours, I believe, which was quite nice compared to the 10 hours. And it was loud enough that when we were just hanging out downstairs, the kids and I would actually have to turn it down, because if my daughter was talking to me, we have a great room. If I was in the kitchen and she was in the living room, I wouldn't be able to hear well what she was saying. So if I was thinking about something else, not really paying attention to the ambient noise, she would have to say, Mom, I was saying something, did you hear me? And I would have to go over and turn this down to be able to hear her, where normally that isn't a problem. I can hear them just fine. So it definitely seemed a bit louder. I had not had that one going during the day, so it's not a direct comparison. We'll see about that in just a minute. But it seemed to put off a nice amount of white noise. And I noticed when I turned it on, the quality of the sound was really nice, which is kind of hard to explain. But if you have heard white noise machines, some sound really tinny, some sound really cheap, some sound really digital, and some just sound very natural. Like it just is a natural sound in the room and you don't notice it. Your brain isn't going, whoa, what is that white noise sound and why is that in my brain? So it just was much more natural sounding, natural seeming, but also seemed to cover up the ambient noises in a nice way. I also noticed about this one right away, like I said, this one just felt cheap because I felt like we're trying to go with the very plasticky and it just didn't feel very high end. And this one feels very nice, which doesn't matter at all when you're choosing a white noise machine, but it has like a really nice matte finish around it. And it just looks really nice to have out also, which isn't a huge deal for me. It's not like I'm going to display it, just a nice little feature. Another nice but not necessary feature of this Lectrofan is that when your kids grow up and you don't need another white noise machine, you can actually make this a Bluetooth speaker. So nice to have, not necessary for a white noise machine, but just kind of an interesting feature. So this one weighs 3.4. I'm pretty sure that one's the smallest of the three. We'll find out. That had been my guess, that one was smaller. I'm glad that she left her soap scale down here. She made soap today, so some of her things are still out while the soap cures. But that worked out nicely. All right, so that was the clear winner so far, but I wanted to be fair and also test out the Dreamegg. So I'll go ahead and just weigh that now. This one is 6.95. So this is the heaviest of the portable ones. So this one, also just like the other two, very easy to use. And this one has the most sounds. It has different, and it has them kind of divided out, which is nice. So you have, the first one is, turn it on here. So you have to kind of hold it in. That's the one kind of wonky feature of this one. But it has the white noise machines and you can cycle through. You can't cycle through because this one actually has, turn it off while I'm talking. I'm saying it's easy to use as I'm hitting the wrong buttons, but it's different when there's a camera in front of you. But this one has a lock feature. So if you had this in a crib with your baby, if they pushed any of the buttons or anything like that, it wouldn't actually change the noise, which is pretty nice. You have to toggle it to unlock, and then you will be able to switch through the noises. So turn it on so you can hear the different noises. And then it also has, for some reason it has little music notes there, which is confusing to me because there's a lullaby one. The music notes is actually nature sounds. I think that's a fire, crickets. I think that little noise it just made meant it went back to the beginning. So birds singing, I'm not sure how this would be making anyone sleepy. That actually usually makes people wake up, but it's on here. Ocean. River. Rain. I think that one was actually a thunderstorm. This one is just rain. And then there's one that's supposed to be a heavy rain. And then that fire. Okay. So then there's a little picture of a baby, and that is the... Oh, I think that's a shush sound. It kind of sounded terrifying when at first I was... That's weird. Okay, that is a weird one. I don't remember listening to that before. Go away. It's not gonna go off of it now. That was weird. Okay, I think that's a fan. Heartbeat. Back to the beginning. And then it has some lullabies. I don't know why that sounds also kind of creepy to me, but it's interesting. I didn't have any issues switching through before, but now they're kind of sticking. Huh. So there's a lot of those. And then back to the shushing. And then you can also, there's a little timer button here, and you can set it for 30, 60, 90, or if you don't have any of those lit up, there's a little light next to it, then it will just go until it runs out. Now, when it comes to how long these white noise machines last, this guy is the winner. I did the exact same thing that I did with my friend, the Lectrofan Micro 2. I turned it on and I kept it with me day and night until it ran out. And this one lasted for 37 hours, which was just so nice to hear after the alpha disappointment. And how long these Lectrofans last, or the white noise machines, sorry, keep saying Lectrofan, how long they last is the #1 thing I wanted to find out when I was looking for these online, and I couldn't find it. They all just said, lasts longer than all the other ones, which doesn't tell me anything. So I was really happy to see the time on how long these lasted, both of these two. The alpha was a sad disappointment. And I don't know if I just got a lemon, because my mom and my sister both have had really good experiences with their alpha. They both recommended it to me. And I had read in some of the comments that people actually described the ka-tunk noise, but it was a very small amount of people, and most people were really happy with it. So I don't know if they just have some that are a bad batch or something like that, but I definitely wouldn't recommend it since that did happen to me. But both of these did the things that I wanted them to do. I wanted it to be loud enough to drown out ambient noise. I wanted it to last long enough to keep my kids asleep. My kids sleep for around 12 hours a night, and then the baby still takes 1 to 2 2-hour naps a day. And I needed it to last through at least a full night, if not a full day and full night. So both of these would be able to do that, which is really nice. Now, I forgot to mention one con for the Lectrofan Micro 2, and that is when I charged this back up to make the video and make it so that you guys could hear each of these, I had left it toggled to the white noise machine, but I had it off. So you can push on and off in the little center button there. Again, super easy to use. And I thought that it would not be expending any energy while it is in this state, but I was wrong. And it completely drained the battery even though it wasn't playing any sound. Now, I feel like this is a design flaw. You're doing a battery operated thing that's supposed to last for a long time, and it has a way of draining the battery without you even knowing it. But when I told my husband about it, he said, that's not a design flaw. That's a user error, and you shouldn't leave it on that toggle. So I don't know. He's an IT guy. Apparently he knows about these kinds of things, and I didn't. So you're supposed to, I guess, toggle it back to the center when you aren't using it, which, yeah, I did find a little bit confusing. Now I would definitely think about it if I were camping and needed to use this again. But to me, if it's not making any sound, it shouldn't be draining its battery. But so that's the one little thing I don't love about this one. Now, the thing I don't love about this one is it's heavy. I know it's half the weight, but it doesn't seem that much smaller than my Old Faithful here. And if I'm gonna take something that's almost as big as this, I'm just going to take this. But this one is battery powered. So there is that. But a lot of people in the videos and in the reviews and in the pictures were, you know, tying it to their backpacks and things like that to take with the child. This one I am not likely to take with me on a walk or a hike or something like that. This little guy, I just might. If there was a chance that my kid would get a nap at some point and I could turn this up loud enough, and I don't know, maybe we're going on an all-day hike and we're gonna be hanging out with the hammocks at a spot, I might be tempted to take this. But I am not taking this one anywhere that I'm going to have to carry it around. Again, it works great for the purpose that I needed it for, which was camping. As I just turned this over, I realized that it actually has a little diagram on the bottom that says off is in the middle. So I hadn't actually turned it off. Apparently that's just a pause button. So I would love to hear in the comments down below which one you guys think that I should keep. The jury is a little bit out still. Obviously it's between these two guys, but it's a hard decision. So let's go ahead and turn these on, and I'm really curious to see with the microphone on the camera what it picks up as far as the sound waves go. So turn that on and turn it up as loud as it goes. I think that's as loud as it goes right there. So, and then you push this S button to cycle through the sound. So this is 1, 2, ocean, 3, more ocean, 4. Might be a fan. Heartbeat. Which I understand why they put this on white noise machines for babies, but the amount of time that a baby would actually fall asleep to this, I feel like is pretty short, and it's a little bit of a waste of a sound. Fan. I lost count. So there's only 7 sounds on here. Stop. Stop. Okay. I'll turn it off now. So there's only 7 sounds on here, which maybe isn't that big of a deal, but I'm used to the OG Lectrofan, and I'm pretty sure this one has 20 sounds between the 10 white noise machines and 10 fan sounds. And the other nice little feature that this has, let's see, plug it in. So see, it can get pretty loud, and this isn't even all the way up. See that right there? It says you're going back to the beginning, which is really nice. None of these three, I think the Dreamegg might have it, but neither of these have that feature, which I find really weird since they're by the same maker. How hard is it to put that little whoop sound that says you're back at the beginning, stop cycling through the sounds? I'm gonna just turn it up so you can kind of get an idea. It gets real loud. I'm not gonna go any louder than that because people in my house are sleeping and I don't actually want the Lectrofan to wake them up. But that's just was to demonstrate, because it was confusing how many sounds are actually on here. So 7 sounds on this one. This one. Switch it to the Z's. And this is as loud as this one gets. So I think that sound is loud. I'm trying to find a similar sound. That sound is a loud sound. It's really close. I think this one's slightly louder on that sound. This one has a louder sound though, for sure. Okay, so I'm gonna go through the sounds, and I don't remember how many are on here. 1, ocean. Oh no, they just kind of all like fade in, which is weird. So this one's a lot louder. I think this one might match that louder one. See, I can't tell, and that's annoying to me. Okay, I think we're back at the beginning. It was somewhere around 10-ish sounds. So not a ton more, but a couple more. But I feel like this one has better sounds because that heartbeat one, yes, people like to do it for tiny little babies who are just fresh born. But honestly, by the time they're old enough to be wanting a Lectrofan or having it be something that is a part of their rhythm, a heartbeat is not necessarily going to be comforting to them anymore unless you've always had them listen to it. But the breaks in the sound could actually be disruptive if they're between sleep cycles or things like that. So I like that this one doesn't bother with the heartbeat and it actually has what I consider to be useful sounds. Now, the Dreamegg has, like I said, the most sounds, and we already cycled through most of them, so I'm not going to do that again, but I will just turn both of these on. Oh, stop. And see it, yeah, and it has that button. So what that noise just told me there was you've reached maximum volume, which is just nice because on these ones I was sitting there going, is this as loud as it gets? I think so. I've pushed it 12 times. So it's nice that it just has that little ding, and then it has the recycle sound. I'll see if I can find that again. Come on. It's weird. I never had any issues with the buttons when I was playing around with it. But of course now it's being finicky. You're not showing your good side for the camera here, Dreamegg. Okay, yes, so it does have the, you've started again, and it has the timer. I'll see, you can see 30, 60, 90. So those are the portable white noise machines and my experience with trying to figure out which one would be best for us. I think ultimately we are most likely to keep this one because it is a little bit smaller, and like I said, if we were on a day hike and there was a chance we'll be taking hammocks and maybe the little guy would have a chance to sleep, I would be likely to put this in because it is so light, put it into the backpack. And this one, the only time I will use it is once a year at the camp meeting. So I feel like I just have more possibilities for using this one. But I do think that this would be a great choice also if you like the features better on this one. But I'd love to hear from all of you. Which do you think is the best portable battery-powered white noise machine? And did you find this video helpful? If you did, please give it a thumbs up so more people can find it. As always, I'm Kassy with makingtimeforgiggles.com, and I make videos all about how to simplify your life. So if that sounds like something you would be into, please subscribe down below because I would love to see you on the next video.